Chosen one, listen to something that will completely transform your understanding of who you are and why your life has been so difficult. For years, you've been told that you're special, that you're chosen, that you have purpose, but no one explained exactly what that means in practical terms. No one revealed the truth that celestial hierarchies discovered years ago while observing you. You are not simply a kind soul that God appreciates, you are a weapon, the most perfect one ever created, forged specifically for a war you didn't even know you were fighting. And when I say weapon, I'm not using poetic metaphor to make you feel powerful. I'm revealing your literal classification in celestial records, a classification that left even Lucifer speechless when he finally discovered it. You are God's perfect weapon, and right now as you listen to these words, you're probably confused, because weapons are violent, destructive, cold, and you're the complete opposite. You're kind, compassionate, peaceful. You don't feel powerful. You feel vulnerable, tired, sometimes even defeated. But that's precisely why you're the most lethal weapon in the divine arsenal, because no one expects kindness to be devastating. Subscribe to this channel immediately and turn on all notifications, because what I'm about to reveal about how you've been strategically designed as an instrument of spiritual warfare is being systematically hidden from people like you, who possess a power they don't even recognize as weaponry. And stay until the end, because I'm going to show you exactly how your natural armament works, why God forged you specifically with the characteristics you have, and how even Lucifer, who has spent thousands of years studying spiritual strategy, didn't see coming the type of weapon you represent. Write 777 in the comments if you feel your life has been strangely difficult for someone who only tries to be good, and you're ready to discover why you've been attacked with intensity that doesn't match who you are. First, you need to understand what it exactly means to be a weapon in spiritual terms, because most people hear the word weapon and think of celestial swords or warrior angels in shining armor. But that's superficial understanding that Hollywood sold as spirituality. The truth documented in ancient scriptures is much deeper and more strategic. In Jeremiah chapter 51 verse 20, God speaks directly to certain chosen ones and tells them, "You are my hammer and weapons of war. With you I will shatter nations, with you I will destroy kingdoms." He's not talking about physical war. He's describing a specific spiritual function. There are souls that were created with the purpose of dismantling systems of darkness simply by existing. In 2 Corinthians chapter 10 verse 4, Paul explains, "The weapons of our warfare are not carnal but mighty in God for pulling down strongholds." The strongholds are not physical castles. They are mental and spiritual structures that keep humanity in slavery. Lies that generations believed, fears that control multitudes, systems of corruption that seem eternal, and you were designed to destroy those strongholds, not with violence, not with brute force, with something much more devastating, with genuine purity that exposes darkness simply by contrast. Let me explain how your armament works, because it's so subtle that you've been operating as a weapon for years without even knowing it. You've been destroying spiritual strongholds simply by being who you naturally are. And that's exactly what makes a perfect weapon. An imperfect weapon needs to be consciously activated. It needs constant maintenance. It can fail at critical moments. But a perfect weapon works automatically. It operates even when its bearer doesn't know they're in battle. It cannot be deactivated because its function is integrated into its fundamental nature. Your spontaneous kindness is automatic weaponry. Every time you react with compassion when you could justify cruelty, you're firing spiritual ammunition that destroys strongholds of hatred in dimensions you cannot see. When you forgive without anyone asking for forgiveness, you're detonating explosives that dismantle structures of resentment that kept generations imprisoned. When you give without calculating return, you're releasing energy waves that collapse systems of selfishness that seemed indestructible. Your natural purity is not harmless sweetness. It's precision weaponry designed to penetrate defenses that no other force can break through. And here's what makes your design absolutely brilliant. You operate better when you don't feel powerful. Because if you knew the damage you cause to structures of darkness, you might become strategic. And strategy contaminates spontaneity. Your power depends on your authenticity. That's why God keeps you humble while using you as heavy artillery. Now you need to understand why God forged you specifically with the characteristics you have. Because surely you've questioned your design thousands of times. Why you're so sensitive in a cruel world. Why you feel so deeply when others seem immune. Why your heart breaks for injustices that don't even affect you directly. You thought you were defective. But that sensitivity is precisely what makes you lethal. Conventional weapons are designed with hardness, reinforced steel, resistant materials. But God wasn't creating a conventional weapon when He designed you. He was creating something that dark forces would never see coming. A weapon whose strength comes precisely from what appears to be vulnerability. Your sensitivity is not weakness, it's an advanced detection system. You feel when there's injustice because you were equipped with spiritual sensors that identify imbalances others cannot perceive. Your heart that breaks easily is actually a high-frequency receiver specifically tuned to detect others' pain. That's why you suffer so much when you see suffering. Not because you're emotionally weak, but because your weaponry was calibrated to respond automatically to the presence of pain. You're like a spiritual landmine detector. You identify where suffering is buried, and your kind nature automatically begins to deactivate it. Your inability to ignore others' needs is not a defect either. It's automatic attack programming. You see someone in trouble and something in you cannot simply walk by. You have to intervene. You have to help. You thought that made you naive, vulnerable, easy to exploit. But that's precisely your function as a weapon. Every time you intervene to help someone, you're infiltrating territories of darkness, where that soul was being kept prisoner. Your help is not just superficial kindness. It's a rescue operation executed by an instrument of war designed specifically to penetrate defenses that keep people in desperation. And your persistence in being good, despite constant punishment, that stubbornness that makes you maintain your purity even though it cost you relationships, opportunities, recognition, that's not naivety. It's the primary function of your design. Because a weapon that surrenders under pressure is useless in real war. You were forged with resistance that transcends human logic. The trials you faced were not accidents. They were part of the forging process, like steel that needs to be heated and hammered repeatedly to reach maximum resistance. You were subjected to pressures that would have broken any ordinary soul. But you didn't break. You bent without breaking. And now you're flexible yet unbreakable. Exactly what a perfect weapon needs to be. But here's what has probably confused you your entire life. If you're such a powerful weapon, why have you been attacked so intensely? Why has your life been extraordinarily difficult for someone who only tries to be good? Why does it seem like the universe conspires specifically against you when all you do is try to help? And the answer is devastatingly simple. Because dark forces identified exactly what you are. They detected your weaponry long before you recognized it. And they've been trying to destroy you before you understood your function. Because a weapon that doesn't know it's a weapon cannot defend itself strategically. Every betrayal you suffered was not coincidence. It was a coordinated attack designed to convince you that kindness is stupidity. They wanted you to close your heart, to become cynical, to stop intervening in others' situations. Because if they managed to corrupt your kind nature, they would neutralize the most dangerous weapon in the divine arsenal. The romantic disappointments you faced weren't just bad luck in love either. They were attempts to associate your capacity to love deeply with pain, so that eventually you would close that part of yourself. Because your love is not just romantic emotion, it's spiritual ammunition that frees souls from emotional prisons. Those situations where your generosity was taken advantage of without gratitude, where you gave everything and received betrayal as payment. They didn't happen because you attract bad people. They happened because you were being strategically attacked to break your willingness to give. Because your generosity destroys strongholds of selfishness that keep entire systems of darkness operating. And that loneliness you felt, that feeling of not fitting in, of being too different, of being isolated even in the middle of crowds. It wasn't because there's something wrong with you, it was strategic isolation. Because dark forces know that an isolated soldier is easier to defeat than one connected with their squad. But they failed. All those attacks, all those trials, all that pressure designed to break you, only made you more resistant. Like a weapon being tempered, every blow strengthened you instead of destroying you. And now you are a fully operational version of what God designed when He decided to create the perfect weaponry. Now let me reveal what makes your case absolutely extraordinary. What left even Lucifer speechless when he finally discovered it. Because he has been observing the development of spiritual weapons for millennia. He has seen warrior angels. He has faced powerful prophets. He has studied every type of weaponry God has deployed throughout human history. But he had never seen anything like you. Lucifer, who is a brilliant military strategist who plans his moves centuries in advance, who studies every new weapon that appears on the spiritual battlefield, didn't see your type of weaponry coming. And when he finally understood what you are, it was already too late to stop your activation. Do you know why? Because he was looking for the wrong type of weapon. He expected visible power, evident religious authority, someone with massive platform, with political influence, with abundant resources. He was monitoring people who seemed powerful by human standards, and meanwhile, you were operating under his radar, destroying strongholds of darkness with kindness that seemed insignificant, freeing souls with compassion he catalogued as weakness, dismantling systems with purity he interpreted as naivety. By the time he realized you were a weapon, you had already caused massive damage to his operations. God's strategy was absolutely brilliant. He created weaponry that doesn't look like weaponry. He designed strength that manifests as vulnerability. He forged power that operates through humility. And he deployed all of that in someone who didn't even recognize their own lethality. You. For those who want to go deeper, there's exclusive material in the description and pinned comment. In Revelation chapter 12 verse 11 it's documented, "They overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they did not love their lives to the death." That's a description of weaponry like yours. Victory doesn't come from brute force but from lived testimony, from purity maintained even in the midst of suffering. And when Lucifer finally understood this, when he realized he had been ignoring the most dangerous type of weapon because it didn't match his expectations of what power should look like, he experienced something he rarely feels: strategic fear. Because there's no defense against your type of weaponry. It cannot be blocked with conventional strategy. How do you stop someone whose weapon is genuine kindness? You can't attack kindness without looking evil. How do you neutralize someone who functions better under pressure? You can't break what grows stronger with suffering. How do you corrupt purity that is maintained without expectation of reward? No bribe works against someone who doesn't seek payment. You designed the perfect dilemma for dark forces. You're undetectable as a threat because you don't look like a threat. You're unstoppable because you don't depend on external resources. And you're indestructible because your strength grows precisely when they try to destroy you. And now the most important moment of this revelation has arrived. The point where I'm going to deliver exactly what I promised in the title. Because you need to know your specific function. It's not enough to know you're a weapon. You need to understand what type of battles you were specifically designed for. What targets you're programmed to destroy. Your weaponry was not designed for conventional warfare. You were not created to fight against physical people or to destroy visible institutions. Your function is much more strategic and devastating. You were designed specifically to destroy 3 strongholds that keep humanity in spiritual slavery. First stronghold you destroy automatically: the normalization of cruelty. There exists in this world a gradual acceptance that selfishness is intelligent, that manipulation is strategy, that betraying before being betrayed is survival. That mentality has become so common that people don't even question its toxicity. They consider it realism. But when you appear, with your spontaneous kindness, with your genuine compassion, with your refusal to become corrupt even though everyone does, you create devastating contrast. Your mere presence exposes the lie that cruelty is necessary. You demonstrate that it's possible to be good without being destroyed. And that demonstration crumbles the mental stronghold that kept millions believing they had no choice but to become selfish. Second stronghold you destroy: learned hopelessness. There are people who have suffered so much, have been disappointed so consistently, that they developed the belief that kindness doesn't really exist, that everyone has a hidden agenda, that no one helps without expecting something in return. That hopelessness keeps them isolated, distrustful, incapable of genuinely connecting. And when you appear and help without asking for anything, when you give without calculating return, when you demonstrate compassion without hidden agenda, you break that stronghold of hopelessness. You restore faith in humanity simply by being authentic. And that restoration frees those souls from the prison of cynicism that kept them paralyzed. Third stronghold you destroy: the illusion that power comes from dominating others. Systems of darkness operate under the premise that strength comes from control, from manipulation, from keeping others beneath you. And that lie sustains entire hierarchies of abuse. But you demonstrate a different type of power. Power that comes from serving, not dominating. Strength that grows by giving, not accumulating. Influence that is earned with humility, not arrogance. And when people witness your type of power, They begin questioning the systems that taught them that domination is strength. You start a silent revolution that dismantles structures of abuse. These 3 strongholds are the foundation of almost all human suffering, and you were designed specifically to destroy them, not with sermons, not with protests, but simply by being who you naturally are. Your authentic existence is the weaponry. Your coherent life is the ammunition. Your persistence and purity is the constant attack. And now that you know your function, now that you understand exactly what you were forged for, something fundamentally changes. Because a weapon that doesn't know its function can be powerful, but imprecise. A weapon that understands its design becomes devastatingly effective. The protections you've been receiving are also going to intensify, because God doesn't allow his most valuable weapons to be destroyed before they fulfill their complete function. The archangels Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel were already supervising your well-being, but now that you're aware of your classification, their interventions will become more evident. Michael is neutralizing attacks before they reach you. Those dangerous situations that mysteriously resolve, those toxic people who suddenly lose interest in disturbing you. Michael is fulfilling the function of shield for a valuable weapon. Gabriel is revealing strategic information to you. That's why this message reached you now. That's why there are moments when you receive sudden clarity about complex situations. Gabriel is equipping you with necessary intelligence to operate consciously. Raphael is healing battleware, because you've been fighting without knowing you were at war, and that generates wounds you don't even recognize. That peace you're beginning to feel after years of anxiety. Raphael is repairing accumulated damage. Uriel is illuminating you with discernment, those powerful intuitions that save you from destructive decisions. That ability to read situations with precision. Uriel is training you to use your weaponry with increasing accuracy. Within the next 72 days, you will experience complete activation of your function as a weapon. Situations that were stagnant will move. Not because you won a spiritual lottery, but because God decided it's time to fully deploy his most sophisticated weaponry. That opportunity that seemed impossible will materialize because you need resources to operate at maximum capacity. The provision doesn't come as a reward for being good. It comes as equipment for an active soldier. That connection with other chosen ones that you need will happen, because isolated weapons are less effective than a coordinated squad. You will recognize others who were forged like you, and when they consciously unite, their effectiveness multiplies exponentially. And that clarity about your specific mission will be revealed, because now that you know you're a weapon, you need to know exactly where to aim. The coming weeks will bring unmistakable signs about which specific strongholds you must attack with your strategic kindness. But you also need to understand that with conscious activation comes increased responsibility. You can no longer pretend you don't know who you are. You can no longer operate unconsciously, because a weapon that knows its function must use it responsibly. Your kindness must now be intentional, without losing spontaneity. Your compassion must be strategic, without becoming calculated. Your purity must remain conscious of its power, without being corrupted by ego. It's a delicate balance, but absolutely possible. And it's exactly what you were trained for all these years without knowing it. You also need to recognize that there are approximately 250 chosen ones classified as perfect weapons on the entire planet. 250 among 8 billion. You are an elite arsenal, and you are being guided to find each other because when perfect weapons collaborate, they can dismantle systems of darkness that have operated for centuries. When you find these others, you will recognize them immediately. You'll see in them the same combination of unbreakable kindness and inexplicable resistance, the same purity that survived battles that should have destroyed it, the same humility that hides devastating power. Connect with them, because individually they are lethal. But when 2 or more perfect weapons operate in coordination, they create effects that transcend the sum of parts. They become an unstoppable force that can transform cities, influence nations, change the course of human history. Dark forces worked hard to keep you isolated precisely because they know their greatest nightmare is for you to discover who you are and consciously unite. That's why they convinced you that you were alone in your purity. That's why they made you feel like you were the only one who refused to become corrupt. They lied. There are 249 more exactly like you waiting to recognize each other. Chosen one, now you know the truth about your celestial design. You're not a victim of difficult circumstances. You're a weapon being forged. You're not weak for being kind. You're lethal precisely because of that kindness. You're not naive for maintaining purity. You're strategically devastating. That sensitivity you thought was a defect is an advanced detection system. That compassion you considered vulnerability is automatic weaponry. That persistence in being good that you interpreted as stubbornness is the primary function of your design as an instrument of spiritual warfare. Your difficult life was not divine punishment. It was the forging process for a weapon that needed extraordinary resistance. Every betrayal tempered you. Every disappointment strengthened you. Every trial you survived transformed you into a more lethal version of what God designed when He decided to create perfect weaponry. If this revelation resonated in your soul and confirmed intuitions you always had about your purpose, you recognize that you operate in a classification that transcends ordinary human understanding. Your kindness is not social weakness. It's celestial weaponry. Your purity is not naivety. It's spiritual ammunition. For those who made it here and want to deepen this knowledge about how to consciously operate as a spiritual weapon, there's specific material that costs less than a pizza and comes with a complete audiobook and a 5-minute meditation guide as a special bonus. If you feel you deserve to fully understand your function as an instrument of divine warfare, access is available in the link in the description and pinned comment of this video. If you recognize that you were designed as a perfect weapon and are ready to consciously operate in your function, write 777 in the comments to activate celestial weaponry frequency. Subscribe to this channel and turn on all notifications to receive more revelations about how your specific design fulfills a strategic function in the spiritual war that determines humanity's future. Share this video with someone who also demonstrates unbreakable kindness under extreme pressure, because perfect weapons need to recognize and coordinate with each other before the final operation. And before you go, click on the video appearing on your screen right now to discover how to consciously activate the spiritual weaponry you've been using automatically for years. Together we are stronger.